the forest hides more than just wildlife. Some trails lead to things no search party should ever find. Strange symbols, unnatural sounds, and disappearances that never make the news. These are creepy stories of rangers and hikers who entered the woods and came back changed, if they came back at all. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more scary stories. This happened 2 summers ago, and I still have no idea what I heard out there. My friends and I had planned a weekend hike in a massive national forest out west. It was supposed to be a casual trail, maybe 8 miles in and out, with camping at a designated site near a stream. We were all experienced enough, had gear, maps, GPS, the works. We hit the trail around 7 a.m. Sun was up, weather perfect, everything felt fine. But around lunchtime, while we were stopped to eat, I realized I'd lost something. My old Swiss Army knife. Nothing major, but I'd had it since I was a kid. It probably slipped out of my side pouch during one of the steep climbs earlier that morning. The group said we could all go back together, but I told them no. I'd just double back real quick and meet them at the camp before sunset. That was my first mistake. I retraced my steps fast, maybe too fast. Every bend in the trail looked familiar, until it didn't. Trees began to blur together. I kept swearing I recognized landmarks that weren't there. I checked my phone. No signal. GPS showed a spinning dot with no orientation. The sun dipped faster than expected. By the time I gave up and turned around, the sky was already gold. That was when I heard it. Wailing. Not animal, not wind. A woman. High-pitched. Far at first, then closer. I froze. It echoed through the trees like it was bouncing off every trunk. I called out, thinking maybe someone else had gotten separated. No answer. Just more wailing. Then silence. Then something new. Footsteps. Not crunching leaves. Dragging. I started walking faster, but no matter which direction I took, I ended up back at this one crooked tree with black moss up one side. I passed it 4 times. I tried carving a mark in it. Came back 20 minutes later. Another mark already there. Not mine. It looked old. Faded. Like someone else had tried this before. I turned on my flashlight. The beam hit something about 20 feet off trail. A figure, just standing. Thin. Long limbs. Head slightly cocked. It didn't move. I blinked, and it was gone. But the dragging sound started again. This time behind me. I sprinted. No idea where to. Just away. The forest didn't feel right anymore. The air felt thicker, like breathing through cloth. And the trees were off. Too narrow, too close together. Then I tripped over something. A rope. An old rotting rope looped in a circle half buried in the leaves. Inside it was a pile of rocks, like a tiny grave. And sticking out from under them, a boot, still laced, still worn, still attached to something. I backed away slowly. The wailing started again, only now. It was right behind me. I turned and saw her, tall, too tall, dressed in rags that didn't fit the time or place. Skin pale and tight, over her bones like wet paper. Her mouth opened. It didn't end. A black, gaping wound of a mouth that stretched down her jaw. And the sound that came out? Not a scream. Not a cry. Every voice I'd ever known, calling my name all at once. I ran. I don't remember how long. My flashlight died. My legs gave out. I collapsed against a tree trying to steady my breathing. But she didn't follow. Instead, there were others. Shapes. Figures barely lit by the last moonlight seeping through the trees. Dozens. All standing still. All facing me. All wailing in unison. I started crying. I wasn't even scared anymore. Just broken. When I opened my eyes again, It was daylight. A search and rescue team found me curled up at the base of a ridge 2 miles off trail. They said I'd been gone for 14 hours, but it felt like days. I didn't tell them everything. Just that I got lost, that I slipped. But they didn't ask much. One guy, older, with a sun-weathered face, handed me a bottle of water and said quietly, "You went through Hollow Trail, didn't you?" I nodded. He just shook his head. "That trail's been closed for decades." I asked why. He paused, then said, "Because people who wander into it don't come out right, if they come out at all. I don't hike anymore. And that Swiss Army knife? I found it in my pocket when they brought me back. Only now, it's not the same. The blade's rusted. The initials carved in the side aren't mine. And some nights, if I leave it in the drawer, I wake up to the sound of wailing outside my window. If you ever lose something on a trail, let it go. Because sometimes the woods remember where you dropped it, and they want to give it back for a price." When I was 9, my little sister Ellie vanished in the woods behind our house. She was 7, tiny, stubborn, with pigtails and a laugh that made people forget how loud she was. It was a summer evening, just before dinner. We were playing hide and seek. I was the seeker. She ran off into the trees and never came back out. They searched for weeks. Dogs, helicopters, flyers on every telephone pole for miles. Nothing. No trail, no scream, just gone. Eventually the case went cold, and people stopped asking. But I never forgot. I moved back to my hometown 2 months ago. Bad breakup, needed a reset. The house was gone, burned in a freak fire years ago. The forest, though, still there, still quiet, still wrong. Locals avoid it now. Call it Hollow Glen. They say it's cursed. Since Ellie vanished, at least 6 other people have disappeared inside it. Most recently, a high school kid named Tyler. That's what brought me back. That and a police report I wasn't supposed to see. The last call made from Tyler's phone pinged at the exact spot Ellie vanished. I knew I shouldn't, but I had to. I had to go back. I packed light, flashlight, knife, recorder, trail markers. I entered Hollow Glen just before sunset. I didn't tell anyone. I don't think I was supposed to. The deeper I walked, the more wrong it felt. The air was too still. Trees leaned just a bit too far inward. The birds stopped chirping after the first quarter mile. Everything smelled old. Not dead, just forgotten. About 30 minutes in, I passed a pile of rocks that looked deliberately stacked. On top, a child's shoe, pink, faded. Size looked about right. I almost turned back right then, but I didn't. Around 8 p.m., I reached the spot. The place Ellie vanished. There's a small creek, a rotting log, and this massive tree with a hollow in its trunk you could crawl into. And that's when I saw them. Ribbons, red ones, tied to branches, hung low like they were waiting for something to brush past. Some had names written on them. Most had faded. One was fresh, in black ink. Eleanor. I don't remember turning around, but suddenly I was facing the opposite direction. The trail markers I left? Gone. My GPS? Dead. I tried retracing my steps, but ended up back at the same creek. Twice. I sat down to catch my breath. The sun was gone now. And then I heard it. Giggling. Ellie's laugh, I swear to God. I stood up and called out. "Ellie?" No answer. Just more giggling. Deeper in the woods. I followed it. It led me to a clearing I'd never seen before. Massive tree in the center. Wider than a car. Carved with faces. Dozens of them. Smiling. Screaming. Some covered with tiny hands carved around the mouths. At the base of the tree, a door. Not a real one, just an opening, blacker than the rest of the woods. The laughing was coming from inside. I should have run, but I stepped in. Everything changed. The inside wasn't dark. It was inverted, like the world flipped and bled. The trees were made of skin, the ground pulsed, and the sky was the color of rot. I called out for Ellie again. Something answered. A girl. She stepped out from behind a tree. Same pigtails, same eyes, but her skin was too tight, her mouth too wide, and her eyes? Empty, like they were looking out from somewhere else. She didn't move her lips, but I heard her voice. You took too long. I backed up. She followed. And behind her? More kids. But wrong. All wrong. Twisted limbs. Teeth in the wrong places. Hands growing from chests. Each one wearing clothes left behind from the missing. I turned and ran. The ground screamed under my feet. Something grabbed my ankle. I kicked it off and didn't look back. I found the door. Crawled through. Back into Hollow Glen. It was morning. My watch said I'd been gone 10 hours, but my recorder? 7 days of audio. I turned in the tape anonymously. It was confiscated by some agency I've never heard of. No police follow-up. No investigation. The forest is still there. And every now and then, people still vanish. And the red ribbons? Now they're blue. And one of them has my name. If someone you love disappears in the woods, I know how badly you'll want answers. But sometimes, you don't want them. Because some doors don't open to places. They open to hunger. And if you wait too long, they send your loved ones back. But it won't be them anymore. Just what the woods think they remember. This was never on the news. The official report says the search was inconclusive, but I was there. I know what really happened. Back in 2019, I was a park ranger assigned to Glenburn Forest, a stretch of thick pinewood nestled between a few rural towns in Oregon. Quiet place. Occasionally we'd get lost campers or someone who ignored a trail sign, but nothing serious. Until July 3rd. That night, dispatch called in a missing hiker. Name, Andrew Callister, 29th, solo backpacker. Last text to his sister said he'd reached the top ridge, whatever that meant. She hadn't heard from him in over 24 hours. We pulled together a search group. Me, 2 other rangers, Garrett and Nunez, and a sheriff's deputy named Rowley. We started at the southern trailhead around 6 p.m. We didn't come back. Not the same anyway. The forest felt wrong that evening. It wasn't just dark, it was heavy. Like the air itself was pressing in. Garrett was the first to notice something weird. About a mile in, he stopped, pointed to a tree trunk and said, "You see that?" Etched into the bark was a symbol. Looked like a jagged spiral with 3 dots beneath it. Burned in deep, like someone used a branding iron. That symbol wasn't on the tree 2 days ago. I know, because I'd walked this trail just last week. We found 4 more of the same rune within a half mile. Always low to the ground, always fresh. An hour later, we found Andrew's campsite, but it wasn't torn up. No signs of struggle. His backpack was there, still zipped. Sleeping bag rolled out. But his boots? They were in the middle of the clearing. Upright. As if he'd just stepped out of them. Nunez checked the pack. Still had food, water, even a flare gun. No one in their right mind would just leave that stuff behind. Rowley muttered. Either he ran or he got pulled. We didn't laugh. That's when we heard the sound. Not a scream. Not an animal. A moan. Low, droning, almost melodic. It echoed through the trees. Then again, closer. Garrett grabbed the flare gun from Andrew's pack. That was mistake number 1. We decided to keep searching. Around 9 p.m., the woods went dead silent. No bugs, no wind, nothing. Just that slow, rhythmic moaning in the distance. We reached a part of the forest we call Devil's Bowl. It's a steep sinkhole surrounded by jagged rocks and black pines. Off limits to the public due to unstable ground. And there, burned into the earth, was the biggest rune yet. 10 feet wide, glowing faintly orange, like coals. Around it, boot prints. Dozens. But all of them went into the center of the symbol. None came out. That's when Rowley saw it. Across the bowl, standing just at the tree line, something tall, maybe 8 feet, thin, pale gray skin that looked stretched and dry, no visible face. Just a hole where the head should be, like a tunnel. And the moaning. It was coming from it, a constant bone-deep drone that made my vision swim. It lifted one arm and pointed at us. Then the trees began to bend, toward it, like gravity was shifting. We ran. Garrett fired the flare. The light hit the thing dead on, and for a second, just one, we saw faces inside the hole. Human faces, screaming, eyes wide. Andrew's was one of them. Then the light vanished, and so did Garrett. No scream, no sound, just gone. We didn't stop running until we hit the ranger outpost 5 miles west. Burst in like we were on fire. No one believed us at first, until Nunez started coughing up black ash from his lungs. He died 2 days later, internal hemorrhaging, body full of microscopic cuts shaped like those runes. Rowley quit the force, moved out of state. I was placed on leave. A week later, I went back to Glenburn alone. Don't ask me why. Guilt, maybe. The rune at Devil's Bowl, gone. But there was a new one, smaller, fresh, and carved into the tree near the trailhead. It read, 4 entered, 1 returned. They never found Andrew, never looked for Garrett. Because officially, there was no search. The report says Andrew likely drowned. The others? Administrative reassignments. But sometimes at night, if I walk near the edge of the forest, I hear the moaning again. And I know it's still hungry. If you ever see symbols in the woods that weren't there the day before, don't follow them. Because some trails weren't made by people. And some things don't want to be found. They want to replace.